Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Thursday! Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios, along with Vancouver. My name is Vinnie, Parise, along with Shorts Guy, and we are here to get you set for New Jersey Devils hockey as they get set to take on the Detroit Red Wings. Welcome to all fans watching on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, wherever you can find the show, listening on Apple or Spotify. We thank you very much. Shorts Guy, how you doing?
Doing good, Vinny. It's good to have you back. How are you doing?
Doing very, very good. A lot's been going on lately. I'm on the go 24/7, it feels like, but it's been good. I'm ready for a big New Jersey Devils game against the Detroit Red Wings to kind of get back on track after a tough loss in the Frozen Frenzy.
Oh, man, that was definitely a tough loss. That was an unexpected result, I'd say is the best way to put it. It got out of hand. It got out of hand quick in that second period. And, I got to say, not a lot of fault to Jake Allen. I mean, he should have had at least two of those, but some of those goals, it was no good. However, you move on. You got to have a short memory when you have a game like that as a goaltender, and you got to have a short memory when you have a game like that as a player, and you move on to your next opponent, which tonight is the Detroit Red Wings, away at Detroit. So you get away from home, you get away from all those distractions, and you play a game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things. Detroit, I don't think they're that good. I didn't come into the year thinking they were that good. There's a lot of hype around them because, I feel like them, Buffalo, and Ottawa are in this, triangle of who's going to be the first to, crack their long playoff drought. And right now, I'm leaning towards none of them. But Detroit probably had the edge coming into the season for me.
Yes.
But since it started, I'm just kind of I watch them and I go, A team that could beat any team on any given night. Patrick Kane scored a goal against the Islanders and they won 1-0 during the Frozen Frenzy. And that might be the two most boring teams in the league playing each other.
Unlike 11 shots.
Yeah. It legitimately might be the most boring teams in the league. And boring doesn't mean bad. Bad doesn't mean not boring. I think the San Jose Sharks are very fun to watch, especially when Celebrini's healthy. They stink, though.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks are fun to watch. They stink. There are lots of teams that stink that are fun to watch. There are lots of teams. Oh, the Habs, they stink. They're horrible.
Yep.
They're fun to watch. Detroit's not one of those teams. I would love to see the Devils kind of bring their element of what makes them fun to watch and use it to dummy down the Detroit Red Wings and get a win here tonight. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the Devils got to get back. Well, I want to say the Devils have got to get back to playing their game, but I don't know if they've quite necessarily figured out what their game is so far this season. It seems to be that this team is still coming together. We do have some defensive help coming into today with Brett Pesce and Luke Hughes coming back into the lineup. I saw that early this morning and quick went onto my fantasy lineup and activated Pesce from my IR. So that could give us a boost, but let's not forget, these guys haven't played an NHL game since. I know Luke hasn't played since April, and I can't remember if Brett Pesce was injured at the end of last season or not. But
he was.
They may not look stellar tonight, but at least they're going to be there and be on the bench and provide some help and maybe get this Devils team and the ship righted, especially on the defensive end, because that seems to be our issue. We're letting up goals in bunches when we are letting up goals. But then we have a game like we do against Ottawa, which I know is in your trio of languishing teams, who we almost shut out. So it's the potential's there for this team. They just haven't gelled yet for our New Jersey Devils.
Absolutely. And I kind of like that the two guys being activated on defense for the Devils, they're so different. They each bring an element to the table that you need desperately from defensemen. You got Luke Hughes, who is about as good as anyone in the organization, maybe besides Doug Hamilton, at providing offense, right? Luke Hughes reaches his ceiling, could be one of those top guys. You see what his brother does in Vancouver. They play a little bit of a different game, but the skill is clearly there. Calder Trophy nominee last year. I think he came in third place behind Faber and Bedard. which is impressive. And then you got Brett Pesce, who is the exact opposite. You're not looking for too many points from Brett Pesce. He'll make a nice pass. He's got a good outlet pass. There are some things he could do offensively every now and again where you're like, okay. But for the most part, it's about shutting down the opposition. When you got Brett
Hmm.
Pesce on the ice, I'm sure he'll see a lot of Patrick Kane. I'm sure he'll see a lot of Dylan Larkin in this game. I don't know if they're going to straight up throw him to the Wolves right away in game number one. That may not be the case. But I think by the time Brett Pesce is like in the groove of the season, those are the types of matchups you'll see him getting against. And the thing I like the most about Brett Pesce's game compared to other defensive defensemen in the NHL, his best work comes at defending the rush. And
Mm.
the Devils have a couple defensemen that could defend, but defending the rush has been an issue. And I think with the way the Devils play, they allow the rush the other way here and there, and that's just going to be the case when you have the big four offensively that the Devils do. I know Nico's real responsible defensively, but the rest of the top guys on the team offensively, there's going to be chances the other way, and a guy like Brett Pesce being back will help with stuff like that. He shuts down 2-on-1s better than any defenseman in the NHL. So if he stays back and does his job well, I'm not saying go allow a bunch of 2-on-1s, please, but for the most part, each of these guys being different and coming back, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and that was a big issue the other night for the Devils against Tampa was the counter. We got caught on the counter quite often, and that having someone like Brett Pesce back who will be good against the counter is something we're going to need. So I guess they're going to have to look into to seeing who is the most lacking in defensive skills as the forwards are concerned, and put him with that line, whoever he's going to be paired with. Which we'll find out the pairings probably shortly with the warm-ups probably starting over out there in Detroit. But yeah, it'll be good to have him back. I doubt they're going to be thrown to the Wolves, but then again, you never know. Like, they may be ready. Him and Luke have been skating for a couple days now. They may throw him to the Wolves, just test them out, see where they're at. You never know.
I think there are ways you can use Luke Hughes right away that you won't have to ease him in, because I do think he's supremely talented. Where there are things like you could throw him out there on the power. He's probably not going to take
Mm-hmm.
Dougie Hamilton's spot on PP1, but you could throw him out there on the second unit with Mercer and Palat and whoever else
Where
the
Casey
case may
was.
be. And he might, yeah, exactly. Just basically take over, and he'll play more minutes than Casey did, but you just kind of use him in those offensive roles. You got to face off in the offensive zone. There goes Luke Hughes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure he'll be playing up against, Dylan Larkin or DeBrincat or Raymond or, even Patrick Kane, any of the top guys offensively for Detroit. But I could see a situation where he's used a lot offensively. If Brett Pesce goes out there and he
Mm-hmm.
shows he's fine, I don't think it'll take long for Sheldon Keefe to throw him out there even in the toughest matchups. When you think of the teams that Keefe has had hundreds of points with in the last handful of years of being the Maple Leafs head coach, they haven't had a defensive defenseman as good as Brett Pesce.
No,
And they haven't
they
had
haven't
an
had
offensive defenseman as good as
goaltenders,
Luke Hughes.
and they haven't had
Yeah, or
goaltenders.
goaltenders or any of it. And I assume we'll see Markstrom tonight.
Yes,
Um,
that's my
so
assumption
I
as
just
well,
think
because he
all
was not
around
on the
this,
ice.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy they didn't pull Allen. I saw some people complaining. I saw Lightning's fans complaining that they didn't pull Vasilevsky either when he gave up 4 or 5 in by the middle of the third period. I'm like, why would either team pull their goalie? This game's basically over. The Lightning, they got the better of the Devils. You're going to lose games here and there. You're going to look like crap. The Devils are going to have a game again this year where they look like crap just as they did
Yeah.
against Tampa Bay. But you just hope they're few and far between, because every team is going to go through it. Florida has been mostly terrible to start the year. Colorado, same thing. You just kind of
Mm-hmm.
got to grind through. I like the makeup of this team, though, now that they look like they were supposed to be coming into the year. And, adding 2 guys like this with Markstrom and net, again, so happy they didn't pull Allen and put Markstrom in on a game where the team looked like crap. He's fresh. He's ready to go. He hasn't played since what was the last game, Saturday before Tuesday.
Yeah, I
So,
believe so. Yeah.
so it's one of those things where you're just rested. You're ready to go. And I'd like to see a big win tonight against Detroit.
Yeah, we've let in a combined, what is it, 14 goals in the last 2 games. which is way too
Yep.
much. So they've got to tighten up that defensive ship. And yeah, because if you watch the game and you watch the goals that were let in by Jake Allen, it wasn't on him. That game against Toronto, or not Toronto. I keep wanting to say Toronto from the other day
Tampa.
on
They're the
Tuesday.
exact same
Tampa.
jersey
I
with a
know.
different logo in the middle.
Exactly. But it wasn't on Allen for that loss, and at the same time too, that call on Mercer was a terrible call, but it wasn't like the refs were making terrible calls like that all game long. The Devils had themselves dug in a hole, and Mercer got zapped with a bad call. We can't blame the game on that play either because the Devils were coming back, but they never really should have been in that position anyway. Letting up bad 2-on-1s.
Exactly.
Letting Hedman walk in and snipe a corner like what's his name that had a hat trick was able to walk right in on one of those
Oh,
goals.
Brandon Hagel.
Hagel, thank you, was able to walk right in from the top of the circles untouched. That's
Can't allow
just
that.
that's poor defensive marking. So to say any of that was on Allen is untrue, and to say any of that hinged on that penalty, did it prevent a comeback? Probably, or at least we were looking like a comeback. But that game was well done and dusted before that Mercer call was even made.
Yeah, the Mercer call was bad. They got it wrong. But you ain't going to hear me say that that's a reason that the Devils lost when they gave up 8.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they only give up 7 if that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they do get one extra one and they lose 7-6. Well, losing 7-6, breaking news, is the same thing as losing 8-5. And
A loss
it's
is a
just what it
loss.
was. It was embarrassing. It was on the Frozen Frenzy, so the whole world saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Weeks gave me a shout out on the Frozen Frenzy. They happened to be showing the Devils losing 8-5 on the bottom of the screen, so that really sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really annoyed that that's how the game went, and you had 2 games in a row where you're not great defensively. Just gotta let it go and move on against Detroit, who it could be a get right team. They could also burn you. I named off a couple really good offensive players: DeBrincat, Kane, Larkin. They've all been 30-plus goal guys in the league. Kane and DeBrincat have been 40-plus goal guys in the league. Lucas Raymond could be a 100-point player in any given year. You got to defend. You got to pay attention to the details. You need Markstrom to make his saves. It'd
Yes,
be
you
nice
do.
to see the power play continue to click a little bit. I loved Jack Hughes in the last game. That's one
Yeah.
positive to take away from the last game is how well both Jack Hughes and Timo Meyer played. Meyer looks like Sharks Meyer, right? And Jack Hughes, he's got it all going on again. If he keeps playing like that, he'll be the 100-point player that we need him to be. Slow start. I don't know what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. If he was still getting used to things, he did miss the end of last year. People forget that. People also forget Hughes is 23.
Yep.
There are rookies that are his age, and he just feels like he's been around forever because that's what happens when you start at 18. But like Jack
Mm-hmm.
Hughes, he went through it a little bit to start the year. He looks great now. And then one player I wanted to touch on individually before we kind of start to get to predictions and start wrapping it up was Nico Hischier. The way
Oh
this
man.
guy plays
Yeah.
is just so awesome. They're playing against Detroit. He doesn't have the mitts or the thievery of a Datsuk, but the way he kind of like puts so much emphasis on the defensive side of the game that it leads to offense just kind of reminds me of like Diet Datsuk a little bit. And I love what I'm seeing from Nico. He could be a point per game player in any given year as well, and that'll get him in Selke Trophy conversations because a lot of his points, especially his assists, come from him doing the right thing on the other side of the ice.
Yeah, and he is this team's leader. That's without a doubt. You watch his play; he leads by example, and he's a soft-spoken guy. I know that, but in the locker room, he must be pretty profound. And all the guys must listen to him.
Yep.
But I think his biggest
Sure.
contribution is he's more than willing to take this team on his back and be like, all right, let's do it. I mean, we saw that in the Caps game when the Devils tried to come back, and he scored 2 in 11 seconds. Like he put his stamp on that game and did all that he could. And yeah, he could definitely be a point per game player, and he's responsible on both ends of the ice, which is, as a goaltender, that's the type of player you want playing on your team. If you could have a whole team of guys like that are great offensively and also come back defensively, man, that's like a dream squad right there, because it's just a bunch of workhorses that will have your back on the defensive end, but then will go and score a goal for you on the other end.
Very good. Absolutely. And that's That's what you like to see from a guy that you give the C. We know that the
Hmm.
the offensive pressure on this team, I guess you could say, from around the league it's mostly on Jack Hughes. I think people expect goals from Timo Meyer and Jesper Bratt, and they're wingers though. And
Hmm.
a winger, a lot of the times, is only as good as his center. I know there are some exceptions like Nikita Kucherov and Mitch Marner and Patrick Kane back in the day, but Timo Meyer and Jesper Bratt, they rely on their centers to be strong in their own zone. And you kind of could see the drop off in production from those guys when the top two centers aren't either not playing well or not in the lineup. So you need those two to be going on all cylinders. And then, of course, Doug Hamilton, when you get contributions from Dougie as they have in the last couple games, that'll help them
Hmm.
win. But I'm excited. I'm excited for what Heischer's doing. I think of every player in the league right now. I probably sound dumb saying this after a game where they gave up 8, but I really think as of right now, he's got to be the odds-on favorite to win the Selke Trophy. I know Barkov will have his cake this season. He's been out for most of the year. But, a Kopitar, he'll be in the conversation,
Hmm.
obviously, too. There are a couple other guys across the league. I know Minnesota Wild fans are always begging for Joel Eriksson Ek to be in the conversation. There are lots of good two-way centermen in the league that are going to put their stamp on this year, but Heischer's got to be right in the conversation, and I'm excited about it. Did you have something to add to that? It looked like you had something to add to that.
No, I'm totally in agreement with you. I was gonna throw a shout out to some of the people in the chat. We've got Ted, Mike, and Stephen Angle all there. Brooke Amanda, as always, chiming in. We have let's see, yeah, Mike is listening from Seattle, so thank you, Michael, for tuning in from there. JP's in the chat. Joseph's in the chat. We got some predictions coming in. Joey B watching us from Colorado. Joey B, we thank you for listening. Even though you're thanking us for the content, we thank you for tuning in. And our Nunez is here as well. The captain's the heart of this team, and that's for darn sure. So we got some predictions rolling in. Vinny, should we ask for predictions from the rest of everyone and then get to ours?
Absolutely. If you're watching this right now and you have access to YouTube, go in, throw stuff in the
Do it.
YouTube chat right now. Your predictions. I want to hear it. I want to hear it so bad. Listen, I'm a diehard Devils fan. That's my number one favorite team in all of sports, and it's not particularly close. And I'm in Illinois. So I love
Mm-hmm.
seeing other people come in from other parts of the country or the world and say, we met people from England last year that came to see the show live and
Justin
then
and
go to the
Jake,
Stadium
yeah.
Series game. It blows my mind. Justin and Jake. Yes, exactly. And I'm in Illinois, and it's not always easy being as big of a Devils fan in Illinois as I am. And I cover the Blackhawks professionally, but I don't give a crap if they win. I want the Devils to win.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to see people from around the country. So thank you very, very much. Keep listening. We'll keep doing it. I'm thrilled that you're
No,
all here.
totally.
Shout out to Colorado and Seattle.
We
And
had
yeah,
someone
and I'm
else.
ready to read off
Eddie's
some
listening.
predictions.
Eddie's listening from Tennessee, so we're covering a bunch of states today, which is awesome. And I think with the atmosphere that we're building outside
Tennessee.
of the arena, we're building outside of the arena on Edison Place, it's just going to lend itself to Devils fans from all corners of the country and the world, for that matter, wanting to come in and experience a Devils home game, because we're building that atmosphere, we're building this team, and that's also going to bring more fans to come see us at American Whiskey, which is right there on Edison Place as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be in soon. I don't know exactly when, especially after my wedding is over. I'll be probably there. My goal is to come 2 times a year starting in 2026.
Nice.
So I want to see everyone there as much as possible. And
You got
I
to do
love
a
it.
road
I'm a
trip.
very big
You got to do a road
fan of
trip with
everyone.
us.
Yes, and that's another thing I was going to bring up. Having someone from Tennessee, having someone from Tennessee in the chat just is so cool to me. The Blackhawks play the Nashville Predators in Chicago tomorrow, but I'm I kind of wish I was in Nashville taking in a Blackhawks Predators game, because Broadway is the single most fun street,
Oh, it is.
not
It's a cool
including
street.
Vegas Strip, not including Vegas Strip. But Broadway in Nashville, in my opinion, is the second most fun street in the
It's
United
cool.
States of America, and I would love for a Devils Predators game to be included on my night out in honky tonk. We will make that happen on the Let's Go Devils podcast. That is a Vinnie
Oh, we
Parise
will.
promise.
We will.
We've been talking about
And
it for a long time, but I'm going to read some of these predictions. Go ahead. What were you going to say real quick?
I was going to say, if everyone goes to joinourcrew.com and signs up for the email updates, they'll know where we're traveling and when we're traveling, and we're starting to do it much more often than we have been. We started last year with Vegas, and Arizona. We're doing Tampa this year. We're going to do hopefully Utah, Vegas. We're looking at a couple other cities too. So if you want to know where we're going, where to find us, where to hang out, go to joinourcrew.com and get some email updates on when we're traveling and where.
1,000%. And it's just properly convenient. If you're a fan of the show, a fan of Devils fans to like mingle with throughout. I've met so many great people. Shorts guy, we were like
Same.
really good friends before I even shook your hand for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing to me what this community has become. And that email blast that Sam Wu will throw out if you sign ourcrew.com, it will help you. It helps people realize where our show was being changed to before the Stadium Series.
Yes.
It helps people realize when Devils After Dark was going live a couple nights ago, literally. It's been incredible. So sign up at joinourcrew.com. You know what joinourcrew.com makes me think of, though? It makes me think of how thirsty I am just all the time.
Are you thirsty? You should have
I'm
something to
so
drink. Thirsty. I'm having a beverage.
I'm thinking about it.
You should have one.
But what kind of beverage should I have?
Probably something with a little carbonation, little alcohol
soda?
in it. No. It's got to have a little alcohol.
I knew.
Some hops.
No
hops.
So we're thinking like a beer.
Yeah, like a beer. What kind of a beer should
a brew maybe? Like a brew,
maybe a brew.
Like a brew, like a and crew brew. Drink and crew brew, where we make winning memories one crew at a time. And crew brew. Shorts guy, what is your prediction for the New Jersey Devils versus the Detroit Red Wings?
Right. So, Devils are playing the Red Wings. The Devils have an opportunity to right the ship tonight, and it's the first one of a back-to-back. We're once again on these lovely back-to-backs. This is Detroit is on that list of teams the Devils should beat, and I think this is a great opportunity for this defensive core to get back to itself, to get solidified. Everyone's coming into the lineup, and finally we're going to see our true defensive core. We got to get Markstrom to fix that glove hand and make some saves there. But I think at the end of the night, the Devils are going to come out with a victory, and the victory is going to be 4-2, and they're going to leave Detroit with a victory. And leaving Detroit with a victory is iconic for me because we did that twice in '95, just to win 2 more at home and win our first Stanley Cup. So Detroit's got a little bit of nostalgia there in our first Stanley Cup opponent, which we won way back in 1995.
The championship to New Jersey. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Woo!
Shout out everybody in the chat who gave their prediction, starting with Brooke Amanda, who you totally stole your prediction from Brooke Amanda before she left for hot yoga, according to her. 4-2 Devils from Brooke Amanda. Joey B says 5-3 Devils over the Red Wings. Going to be close. Devils laid empty netter, seals it with 1:20 to go in the third. That might be the most.
Joey B with some specifics. I'm going to screen cap that one.
Some specific prediction. That's incredible.
That comes to fruition. If that comes to fruition, we're having Joey B on again.
Absolutely. Okay, I screenshot it too. I will be keeping an eye on that. Even if it's like only a little bit right. Like if it's somewhere in the ballpark, I'll be impressed with Joey B. Ramona Rice 5-1 Devils. Select the Boy says 4-2 Devils. Joseph 8-1 Devils. R. Nunez 3-1 Devils. Suika says 6-2 Devils. Cram 5-1 Devils. Michael Rossi 4-2 Devils. Eddie 3-2 Devils. Evan 5-2 Devils. Big rebound game, says them. Raphael 5-3 Devils. Brian says Shorts guy is good vibe. Exactly. Let's see. 5-2 Devils. OMI Goodness says 5-3 or 4 Devils, excuse me, I was reading there. Sam Wu says 6-5 Devils. Hughes with 4 goals and 2 assists. That would break the internet if Sam Wu's prediction came correct. When's the last time we had a 4-goal game? I remember Pavelski had one a couple years ago, but there's got to be one more recently than that.
I don't know. You would know before
4
I
goals.
would.
Tage Thompson might have did it most recently.
He might have done it, yeah.
I feel like Tage Thompson
you would know more than me.
4-goal game recently.
You would know well more than I would when the last one that was.
I think Tage Thompson might be the last one to have 4, but I could be wrong. Austin Matthews might have probably had. No, I think Austin Matthews only had the one. Oh, that's besides the point. We only care about the Devils. My prediction is that the New Jersey Devils are going to beat the Red Wings 4-1. I like the 4-1 prediction.
Okay, 4-1's good.
The Detroit, everyone scores a goal for the most part. Shutouts are rare, but I get 4 on the board, all on a goalie. I want to see a good win for the Devils. Like if it's 4-1, make it 5-1 with the empty netter. Then I want 4 goals on a goalie. So that's going to be my prediction tonight. Shorts guy, this has been a great show. I'm very excited to watch this Devils game. I'd like to see them get a win at Little Caesars Arena, one of my favorite rinks in the NHL. I'm an apologist. People crap on Detroit. You're wrong. Detroit's awesome. Their pizza's fantastic. Little Caesars Arena is delightful, and it's Hockey Town. How can you not like Hockey Town?
I would go.
You don't have to like their team. You don't have to like their team. I'm from Chicago. We don't root for Detroit, but
no.
You can enjoy the town for what it is. It's fun, and I hope everybody attending the game has a good time. I hope everybody who watched the show enjoyed it. And Shorts Guy, before I head on out of here, is there anything else you got to get off your chest before we dip?
No, I just want to see a good Devils victory and a strong game from Markstrom tonight.
Absolutely. For Shorts Guy and the rest of the Let's Go Devils podcast network, my name is Vinnie Parise. Devils Red Wings, as always, let's go Devils. See ya.